Thank you, Douglas. So, Monica, I love what you're wearing today. Did you pick your own clothes today?
I did.
Yeah, so did I. And I'm going to say the same probably holds true for most of us in the room. So we have all at least done one act of creativity today. I want to read you an excerpt from a book that I clearly like. It's called 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think. And in it, Brianna Weiss writes, "We do not ebb and flow in and out of creation. It is an unseen constant. From the clothes we choose, to the sentences we say, to the way we arrange our desks at work." So what this is saying is that as human beings, we're all innately creative. Yet, as human beings and as adults, often we don't claim our creativity. There's so many workshops I go into where people say, "I'm not creative." So clearly, when you're running a workshop, running a presentation, the last thing anyone wants to do in the room is just jump into their creativity and start sharing that with the rest of the room. So what I suggest is that we scaffold our creativity into our presentations so that you're really having people tiptoe into this creativity and really allowing themselves to expand into it as they go along. So, where's my slides? There they are. So as Douglas said, my name is Vân. I'm the founder of WorkSmart, where I do team and leadership development all through the lens of creative integration, which basically means I do everything through creativity, play, and experiential learning, and you're going to get experience a little bit of that today. So first, what is creativity and why should we be using it in our facilitations? Number one, creativity is a capacity that every single person has. So I think that if you're going to teach in one method, it should be using creativity. Because when you use creativity, what you're doing is you're tapping into a capacity that every single person in the room has access to. So we're talking about accessibility here. Creativity also expands our way of thinking. It helps us see in different perspectives. Not only our own different perspectives that may be subconscious, but we really get to see from other people's perspectives in the room. And it also brings up ideas that are left untapped by left brain analytical thinking alone. And then in terms of why it's important to facilitate through creativity is number one, and I'm trying to read off of that, but I can't see that far, so we come down here. So it keeps the audience active and engaged. We are able to get people to get out of their seats, into their hands, thinking with their hands. We also, it leaves people energized rather than feeling drained, and it creates opportunities for connection and collaboration. And what it does is it offers an experience that brings up emotion. And when you get people to think and feel with their emotions, that's when you get those shifts, the mental shifts and the behavioral shifts. And that's what we're looking for as facilitators. So a couple other organizations that believe in creativity in education. This one, the National Education Association, says that creativity belongs everywhere. It creates new knowledge that doesn't exist before, and it helps us synthesize information and bring joy and meaning into the experience. And then also, drawing. This one specifically talks about drawing. Drawing is superior to activities such as reading or writing because it forces us to learn to process information in multiple ways, visually, kinesthetically, and semantically. And studies have shown that it boosts memory, increasing recall by nearly double. And isn't this really what we want as facilitators? Is for the participants in the room to take take the experiences we gave them and bring it into the world with them, right? You don't want to leave the learning in the room. You want people to take it out with them and create those shifts and create those behavioral changes. So I will tell you, though, that no one that I work with will just jump straight into drawing. Possibly the people in this room, right? Because I think there are a lot of creatives in this room. But generally, when I facilitate in the corporate environment, people aren't going to just jump in and want to share their creativity right away. That's why I talk about scaffolding creativity. I use a lot of materials in my work. And I will tell you there's a difference when I walk into a room or when people walk into a room and I've brought my canvases and my paintbrushes, right? I see the fear in their eyes. Versus when I have Legos on the table. Everyone knows what a Lego brick looks like. Everyone's played with Lego bricks. So Lego bricks are sort of like the low-hanging fruit of creativity. People walk in and they're excited when they see the Lego bricks. So what we want to do by scaffolding creativity into your presentations is you want to start with that low-hanging fruit and get people to interact and explore their creativity before you ask them to do anything further. So basically, you're tricking people into their creativity. So scaffolding creativity, start with something familiar, something that participants have seen before, and it's really just going to get them to think outside the box and think a little bit differently. So here's our first scaffolding activity today. It's a word search. So take a look at this word search and pick the first word you see. Just write down the first word you see. And once you do that, turn to your neighbor and tell them, how does that word apply to how you facilitate? So how does that word that you saw apply to how you facilitate? It's going to take just 1 minute each to share. All right, I know in a room full of facilitators, we can talk to each other all day, but let's come back together. If you didn't get a chance to share right now, definitely share a little bit later. So this is a great tool, as you just saw, to get people to talk to one another and use their imagination, use their creativity, sort of like forcing that connection between something they found and a topic that you brought up. So this is one way you can start people in their creativity. A couple other things you can do is pick an object, right? Ask them to pick up an object and tell a story about it. Storytelling is a great thing. And we're not looking for anything profound here, right? So I can say, this is a marker. I bought it at Target because I can't really get past those $1 to $5 little aisles there without buying something. Or you can share a bunch of words and have people pick 2 or 3 words out and share what brought them to this workshop. What do they want to get out of this workshop? Again, we're just trying to get them to tiptoe into their creativity. So the second level of scaffolding I want to talk about is this use of visual prompts. Now what you're asking people to do is take a look at an image or a group of images and apply meaning to them. So what we're going to do here, and again, using imagery, it gets people out of that left brain analytical thinking that as adults we're generally in anyway, and particularly in the workplace. And by doing so, what you're doing is allowing subconscious ideas to arise. So here's the activity I want you to do at your tables. We're going to do this as a group. Taking these 2 images or characteristics of these 2 images, think about what could you combine about these 2 images that could help you facilitate in a hybrid environment. Again, taking characteristics of these 2 images, what characteristics can you combine to come up with something that you could use in a hybrid work environment or hybrid facilitation environment? So go ahead, no wrong answers. Wild ideas are welcome. There's a lot of talking out there. There's got to be, oh, Eric!
From my partner here, we're doing full steam ahead. So you got your emoji, your steam. It's full steam ahead.
Awesome, great, thank you. Okay, so the idea here is that you're trying to get people to use their eyes and their vision to force connections. And the beauty of creativity is, as a facilitator, you can get as creative with this as you want to. So for example, you can use something like this and say, how will we solve for this challenge? How could you explain for this opportunity? Or how could you create something new? You can use it in any way you want. The beauty of the work I do and the beauty of the work the creative facilitators do is that we can just make stuff up and make it make sense, right? So here's another way you can use this. I call this one forced connections. I often use it, and I love this one. Because I will tell you, every time I show these 4 pictures to hundreds of people, and when I ask them questions such as, take a look at these pictures and come up with a characteristic that solves for a problem, that overcomes a challenge, to vet an opportunity, to represent something about yourself, it's amazing how many unique ideas come up. I've heard so many unique ideas just from these 4 pictures. The other beauty of this work is that we as facilitators don't need to know the answers, right? We offer the tools and the space, and the answers, as we all know, come from the people in the room. We're co-creating this experience. So that's the second level of scaffolding. And the third one, and the last one I'm going to share with you today, is this idea of kinesthetic hands-on learning. So what you're doing with kinesthetic hands-on learning is you're replacing that passive form of learning with movement and with action. And you're literally thinking with your hands. There's oftentimes I'll put Legos on the table, pen and paper on the table, and ask a question and tell people, don't even think about your answer. If you don't have an answer, don't even think about it. Just start using your hands, start building with Legos, start sketching and drawing, and see what ideas come up for you. And that's when these subconscious ideas might come up. It promotes retention in the doing. Rather than passively sitting, you're doing, so you're activating more parts of your body in that kinesthetic learning. So this is what we're going to do today here, is we're going to do a sketch. Now we're going to go into our sketches. And we're bringing back the idea of the superheroes. So as facilitators over the past few months, now actually a few years, we have gained some superhero powers, wouldn't you say? There's a lot of things that we've had to learn to do. We are all, as Galia said, superheroes. So what I want you to do is pick up a pen and paper, and you're going to sketch your facilitator's superhero power. I gave you some examples here. Maybe you're Captain Pajama Pants, right? We're facilitating on Zoom, and you can look professional from the top up, but you're wearing teddy bear pajama pants from the bottom down. Or maybe you are the incredible zipper mouth. You have the ability to be patient and not say what you really mean. Oh, we got laughs out of that one. We all know that feeling. Or maybe you're the super multitasker. You can actually facilitate and play Word with Friends on your phone. So that might be you. So take 1 minute here, or a couple minutes here, and go ahead and write down your superhero name and sketch yourself as a superhero. Okay, let's start doing some shares. Who has a superhero sketch and a superhero name they would like to share out loud?
The concept is the queen of rituals.
Okay.
I feel like I'm really great, especially in the pandemic period, about developing rituals and routine and like culture in various types of meetings and online events for people that create a sense of like warmth and belonging and
That's great.
so.
That is a facilitation superpower for sure. Thank you for sharing. Let's get 2 more people to share. Who else is brave enough to share? When you share with others, you give other people permission to share too. Okay, we've got 2 here. Can you give me your name too when you?
My name's Katie. Mine is Excited Girl, and my superpower is saying yay for others and ideas.
Love it. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes, I'm Ana Maria, and I'm super congeniality. Just getting everybody home and smiling.
Awesome. These are all amazing superpowers as facilitators and as human beings, really. Okay, so clearly, the idea with creativity is that you're bringing out play and fun as well, as we talked about earlier this morning. So, and it can get serious, right? You can, not too serious, but you can also use this sketching to, say, sketch a takeaway from today's work, or sketch an idea to solve a problem, to overcome a challenge, to explain something, to create something. Again, as facilitators, it's in the question asking, right? It's just giving them that tool of creativity, and then you ask the question and let them come up with the answers. And I will propose that actually the more serious your topic is, the more important it is to input creativity into your work. Because what creativity does, it balances, because we're all creative, it levels that playing field. It gives everyone an opportunity to address the issue at hand in a way that makes sense for them, and it opens people up to more conversation and more discussion. All right, so I have 3 minutes. The last thing I'm going to talk about is this idea of doing something with your hand even further. In my work, I often use creative artifacts. And a creative artifact is this idea of allowing people to make something that they take back with them. And I love creative artifacts because in my work over the last 6 years, what people remember, when I hear from people who've taken my workshops even 6 years ago, is like, I still have that artifact. It always reminds me of the work we did that day. If you're like me, I'm a copious note taker. I went to Catholic school. So I took, you see my book, right? And you see how much I highlight on some of these slides. I'm a note taker. But what I do with those notes is absolutely nothing. They go in my notebook, in a drawer, and they never get looked at again. So I came with this idea of a creative artifact, allowing people to make something with their hands that serves as a reminder of the work you taught them that day or that you guys co-created together that day. So I brought some of these cubes today. So what I'd like you to do is grab some wherever they might be. I think Chris will put them out later. There's some markers at this front table. And use these for the rest of the day. Whatever your learning points are that you want to take away from today that is meaningful to you, there's so many quotes I wrote down from earlier today that I'll be putting on my cube, and write them down, sketch pictures that remind you of it, and put this on your desk. Another artifact I like are rocks. Many of these ideas I got from my child's preschool. Just rocks. Write down on these rocks, painted rocks, paint your ideas, paint your values, paint how you want to present, and keep them in front of you as a reminder of when you go in front of an audience, when you're talking to someone, how do you want to show up? So with that, I'm going to end with just this idea of bringing creativity into your presentations, and scaffolding it gives people the opportunity to tiptoe into their creativity and open up themselves and the other people in the room to a different and new way of communicating and sharing ideas. And I guarantee you, when you can get people to share through creativity, they're going to share bigger and better ideas and be more collaborative. So enjoy bringing creativity into your presentations. This is how you can contact me. As the people who already know me know, I live on LinkedIn. I think I have a house there. So you can always find me on LinkedIn. Thank you for your time.